Chapter 1: The Spark Spreads. It started with a single tweet, a single furious, unfiltered thought that would ignite a firestorm. The year was 2023, and the internet was already a powder keg of frustration waiting for a match. The tweet was short, brutal, and undeniable. #unfollow them. Enough is enough. It was posted at 2:17 a.m. by a journalist who had just been fired for refusing to soften a story about a powerful politician. No one expected it to go anywhere, but by dawn, it had been shared 50,000 times. By noon, it was trending globally. The hashtag spread like wildfire, fueled by years of simmering resentment. Reporters, editors, even former executives who had left the media empire in disgust, all of them were suddenly speaking out. The empire in question was Veritas Media, a conglomerate that had spent decades shaping narratives, burying inconvenient truths, and rewarding loyalty over integrity. Now, its own employees were turning on it. At first, the response was dismissive. A Veritas spokesperson called the backlash a fringe movement by disgruntled former staff. But then the numbers started to matter. Subscriptions dropped. Advertisers pulled out. And worst of all, the public was listening. For the first time in years, people were questioning what they were being told. The spark had jumped from social media to the streets. Protests erupted outside Veritas headquarters in New York, London, and Tokyo. The chants were simple, relentless. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Cameras rolled, live streams went viral, and the movement grew. It wasn't just about one company anymore, it was about the entire industry. Inside Veritas, the panic was palpable. Emergency meetings were called. Teams scrambled to craft damage control, but the damage was already done. The hashtag had become a symbol, a rallying cry for anyone who had ever felt manipulated by the media. And the more the company tried to suppress it, the louder it got. Then came the leaks. Anonymous sources began releasing internal emails, memos, and even audio recordings that exposed just how far Veritas had gone to protect its powerful allies. One leaked memo, dated just weeks before the backlash, instructed editors to soften any criticism of Senator Alden's policies or risk losing funding. Another email chain revealed a direct order to spike a story about a major corporate scandal because the CEO of the involved company was a close friend of the Veritas chairman. The revelations were explosive. Journalists who had once stayed silent out of fear or loyalty now stepped forward. One former investigative reporter, now working at a smaller outlet, went on record. We knew what we were doing was wrong, but the pressure was relentless. If you pushed back, you were out, and if you stayed quiet, you were complicit. The public reaction was swift and brutal. Subscriptions to Veritas flagship news outlets plummeted. Advertisers fled. Stock prices tanked. And for the first time in its history, the company was forced to admit it had a problem. But by then, it was too late. The movement had taken on a life of its own. The hashtag had become more than just a call to unfollow. It was a demand for accountability. And it was spreading far beyond Veritas. Other media outlets, sensing the shifting winds, began to distance themselves from the practices that had once been industry standard. Investigative journalism, long sidelined, was suddenly back in vogue. The public, hungry for transparency, was no longer willing to accept spin. But the backlash wasn't just about one company or one scandal. It was about the erosion of trust in institutions that had spent years prioritizing profit over truth. And as the movement grew, so did the questions. How deep did the corruption go? Who else was involved? And most importantly, what would it take to fix it? The answers were still coming. But one thing was certain. The spark had spread, and there was no putting it out.